Do you ever find yourself, Marty? I mean, you played with Jason. Obviously, everybody knows you were in Megadeth for such a great period of that band's history. Is there any side of you that would ever like to be in a band again?
Well, I mean, as you see, my band is definitely a band vibe, and so doing my solo stuff is certainly being in a band. But I would not rule out anything, any kind of band that I think is cool and new and exciting, and or just any band that's doing anything really, really interesting that I could contribute to. I'd be way into that. I mean, I've done so many insane projects over here in Japan, playing with bands, playing with artists, doing my own stuff, doing other people's stuff. I do anything that I think is insane. Anything that I think is really exciting or worth doing, I definitely would pursue. So I'm not against any type of situation, really.
I mean, just the other day, a band got announced with Geezer Butler, Steve Stevens, Matt Sorum, Frankie Perez, this sort of supergroup thing. You see stuff like that pop up all the time, or bands that have been around for a while looking for a great guitar player or something. Does any of that stuff appeal to you? I'm sure you've had offers.
Yeah, it actually does appeal to me. It appeals to me a lot, and if the right situation were to arise, I would be jumping on it. I mean, it really there would have to be a reason for it. It would have to be something where I could really, bring something to it that would make it, worth doing, and then I would be way into it. I think a lot of great combinations of people can create new things that are better than the sum of the parts. The sum of the parts. You know what I'm trying to say? I can't speak English anymore. But when you put when you put certain things together, they're better than the parts separately. You know what I'm trying to say?
I know totally what you mean. Yeah,
I'm into that. I'm into that in a big way. And I would be into any kind of collaboration like that, band, whatever it is. And I've done a whole lot of that in Japan, but not a whole lot of it outside of Japan. So, I'd be into it.
And if a kid is listening to this right now and wanted to hear a Megadeth album with Marty Friedman on it, which one would you tell them to get? Which one are you most proud of that you made with Megadeth?
Oh, all of it. There's nothing, nothing in there that I regret even for a second. So really just pick one and you'll be fine.
Well, even Risk, because, I spoke to Mustaine recently about Risk, and he basically said that he kind of painted that record as a concession to you at the time. Is that a record that you really wanted to make and that you still feel strongly about?
Is that Slow News Day?
That's what I just had him on my show like a week ago talking about that. We talk because I'm always fascinated about artists' histories where they have records that are sort of like anomalies. They take a different turn. Maybe there's a different lineup. Like talking about Aerosmith before, I love Rockin' a Hard Place. That's the one Aerosmith album that doesn't have Joe Perry on it. And I just find it really interesting. Or you look at Kiss, there's The Elder. There's people that love that dislike that. So, Risk is kind of that Megadeth record. You were a part of it, and I was just always curious, in retrospect, your feelings about it.
Well, I think anything that needed to be said from me about that was probably said at the time. I mean, I haven't even thought about that since then, so I couldn't give you an intelligent answer. But I don't really. I'm barely thinking about what I did yesterday, much less back then. So I'm sure whatever it was at the time that it happened, everybody involved with it was doing the best that they possibly could, and I'm sure of that, because that is something that's happened on every record before that and every record since that and every record I'm doing now. When you're doing it, you're doing the absolute best that you can, and pretty much if you look at any press of any record, you definitely know this when it comes out, what the people are saying right then, right at that time, that's what it is. And then depending on the results of that, people's stories change. But like at the time, you're doing the best that, you really, really, really believe in that. Everybody believes in it. And then that's it, So I definitely wouldn't even begin to think of whatever specifics were going on back then. It's just the farthest thing from my mind. But I can assure you that anything was done with the best of intentions and hardest work, and everybody was just trying to do their best.
I've always said this, that every artist, like whatever record cycle they're on, that is the best record they ever made, at least for that month until the next record comes out. And then,
I would hope to think so. I mean, the more you do anything, you should be, getting better at it. I would assume that if you're, whatever it is, whether it's sports or woodworking or carpentry or music or anything, the more you do it, hopefully you don't start sucking more. You should hopefully continue to get better at it. And so whatever is at the present, that's the peak. That should be the peak. And I'm certainly very, very in tune with that. So each time I try to raise the bar in every single thing that I do musically, and just so I can live with it. You know what I mean? People like different eras of your career. And that's totally fine. That's totally great, because what you got to realize is when people enjoy music, it's not just the content of the music that they're enjoying. They're enjoying that period of time in their life, what was happening in their life, what the music connects to them with.
Right.
And that is the magic of music. So like as the artist making the music, it should be the responsibility to try to completely do your best and grow and evolve and all that stuff. But there's no way to control what part of your career the fans are going to choose, because you have your first girlfriend in the backseat of the car. Whatever music is playing then, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be your thing, And I'm sure you find this as well, that when you grow up, some of the music that you actually hated when you were a kid, you listen to it now and it's like, it's cool now. You like it now, and at the time you really hated it, but like the memory of hating that music is a really warm and fuzzy memory. So when you listen to that music that you used to hate, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And
example.
And the reverse works too sometimes, but
Yeah. There's that. There is totally that. But when I was a kid, I grew up in Maryland, and it's right on the border of the North and South. And so we, I don't want to offend anybody, but like we were like trying not to be Southern where we lived. We were like, Southern rock, we don't like it. We really, really hated Leonard Skinner. And which, if you look at the content, Leonard Skinner is totally, totally awesome. But at the time, as little kids, the stupid things that go through kids' minds, we don't like all that Southern stuff. And
right.
It's like country music, whatever. But growing up, just reminding me of like, little kid stuff, having little childish, not arguments, but just like, musical arguments that you have with your friends about what music is cool and that. And I listen to Leonard Skinner, and it's all very fondly remembered by me. And it's really super cool, and it brings back a lot of really cool memories. So there's so much other things attached to all kinds of music that and it has kind of little to do with the actual content. The content is the artist's responsibility to try to really do their best all the time.
Hey, two quick things and I'll let you go because I got to hit a break and wrap up soon anyway. Is the Queen, here in America, it's like Queen mania because of this movie, this Bohemian Rhapsody movie. Is it big in Japan?
Absolutely. I just saw it the day it came out, and boy, what an impressive thing that was. I mean, of course, I'm a Queen fan, but God, man, what can I say? I mean, from note one, the sound, it's worth it for the sound. Sound alone was just blown away, loved it. Kind of would expect nothing less from Queen. But God, I loved it.
And the other thing, the last thing is, I am still, people get music all different ways now. Streaming, there's some movement back to vinyl. Even people are I've seen cassettes pop up again. I am still, my favorite format by far is still the CD. And I read some stats recently that I thought was really interesting, that in Japan, that's where the CD is still the strongest, and where streaming is still something that hasn't really latched on. Is that true?
That might be an exaggeration, but it's probably true that the CD is stronger in Japan than anywhere else in the world. It's still very, very real, and it's still a format that people use a lot. And
any DVD or possibly CDs of this Big Four show?
They did. There's been a DVD out for a couple months now.
No, the one in India.
I don't think so, because you know they do this. I mean, listen, that was the first American one, Kerry. But if you don't follow it all that closely, they've done this for a year already. I mean, they've done Big Four shows throughout Europe all last year. They're about to do more. How many times can you put out a DVD? It's the same band's the same set. I mean, it would be kind of stupid to keep doing it.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do an audio thing either. You know, they got the DVD of all of it from overseas last year.
I think an audio CD, I don't understand. I never understood why bands do DVDs and don't just throw a CD in there of the audio track. I mean, the disc costs 30 cents. You can charge a couple extra bucks and you can listen to it in your car. I never understood why bands just don't automatically do that with every DVD. It barely costs anything to do. You already have the audio there. But, yeah, you're not going to get a DVD of every time they do it because it would get redundant really quick. Atlanta, Georgia, Randy. Go ahead, Randy.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
I got a comment and a question. The comment is regarding what you guys were saying about Lars being a great drummer. I think he was up through and Justice for All or whatever. But if you watch him on the DVD of the Big Four, I've got it. Their highlight for the Metallica show is the song One. He does not play any of the bass line, which is the highlight of the song. Where it's the 16th note bass. He's relying on the bass player and the rhythm guitar player to cover up for him on that. He does not play those 16th notes. And if you watch him throughout the whole show, half of what he's doing is playing the 2 and the 4. I'm a drummer, so I know.
Yeah, I just kind of figured that out.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a foreign language to us.
Yeah, exactly. Jim and I are looking at each other like, okay, the 2, the 4, the 16. We're trying to do math over here and add up what you're saying.
All you got to do is just watch the video that was put out for One, or listen to the song, and you hear the bass drum. That's the da 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 da. I mean, that's the main part of the song. He does not play that on the Big Four tour. He's just sitting back there playing a very simple beat, and you can allow the bass player to cover up for you in a situation like that, which is what he is doing. He's not playing those notes. He's allowing the bass player to play them for him.
All right. Well, Randy, I listen, I appreciate your opinion and your perspective and all that. I'm not a musician. Jim's not a musician. And I hate to tell you this, but 99% or maybe 90% of the people listening are not listening for that. They're hearing One. They're seeing the fireworks go off before the show starts. First of all, you talk about locking in with the bass. The biggest criticism was there was no bass on Justice for All.
Yeah.
So maybe he didn't hear it either.
That is my favorite part of the song. But
the thing is that look, I mean, it's funny how polarizing it is about Lars's ability as a drummer. And my thing about it is that I look at it as the total thing of what he does. First of all, I love what he plays on all the records. I think it's unbelievable. I love it. I mean, is he Dave Lombardo? Is he Charlie? No. But I think what he plays is perfect for the music. But here's the other thing. When you talk about discussion of great metal drummers, I think when you look at Lars, the playing part of it is one part, but it's much bigger than that with him. His contributions as a writer, and as a founding member of one of the most important bands in metal history. And that's just the truth. Whether you like his playing or not is one thing, but look at it at the total package. The guy is an enormous part of Metallica. Very few drummers in any band have that sort of impact on the band across the board. So look at the total thing. We had Bill Ward on our top 5 list. We all did. Yes, I think Bill's a technician on the drums. He's brilliant at the stuff he plays. But if you're going to get technical about 16th, 4th notes and this and that, I mean, Bill's probably not that guy either.
No.
But Bill is a founding guy. I mean, it's the whole package that you have to look at. So that's what I think. And to my ears, it's fine. I mean, does he have bad nights sometimes playing live, especially? Yeah. Guy's now in his late 40s or whatever, and it's a physical thing, and it's a grueling style of music Metallica play.
And they play a 2.5-hour set.
Especially, especially that style of music. I mean, it's a tough thing to do. Your body's, hell, man, I threw out my back just getting my suitcase out. I was hobbling around the Big Four. Lars is, I couldn't go up and do 2.5 hours like he just did. So, yeah, I mean, listen, if you're going to get into technicalities, yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I don't think a lot of people are overly worried about it. It's Eddie Trunk Live, Sirius XM, The Boneyard, Jim Florentine hanging out as well. We are live here on this Monday, 6 to 10 Eastern, 3 to 7 Pacific. More calls and discussion than normal because it was a huge week with the Big Four stuff going down in Indio on Saturday, which I was there for, and also the incredible news that KK Downing is no longer in Judas Priest. So we're taking your calls on that and other things. Glenn Hughes will be here at the top of the hour. Lots to talk about with Glenn coming up in the second 2 hours of the show, and he may perform in the studio too, so that could be great. Stick around for Glenn coming up. More of your calls, though. Lines are jammed. We'll go to Milwaukee. Say hello to Adam. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for taking my call. Really enjoy the show, and I wish I could have been out in India with you guys. On that note, I have a question and then a comment. I just find it very hard to believe that I have heard nothing through the rumor mill, any press releases, anything regarding any kind of North American tour with this. And, I mean, the demand is certainly there, and we all know that these guys would sell out stadiums all over the country, as well as Canada and Mexico. I just can't believe there's nothing. I mean, maybe this was just a test or a trial run. I mean, I don't know. Have you heard anything?
No, I mean, I don't know where you tuned in, but I said that earlier. I don't think it's ever going to be a tour. It's not. It's not. It's going to be special event festival type shows. Festivals don't tour generally. At least I don't think they do. Lollapalooza is a big festival. It's down to one destination, Chicago, every year. You want to be there, you got to get there. That's what kind of makes these things special. I'm doing M3 in a couple weeks. I'm doing Rocklahoma. Those are stationary things. I think with Big Four, you're going to get L.A. I'm sure you're going to get New York. You may get Boston at one point. You may get
Texas, Chicago
at some point.
Yeah.
You'll get spots of the country, so you'd have to go cross country maybe. But I don't think you're ever going to get that. Listen, Metallica can do. You have to remember something here. Metallica is bigger than the other three bands combined, times two.
Oh, for sure.
So they can do this when they feel nostalgic and want to, but they don't need the other guys to do whatever. They may want to go do something else.
No.
Also with this thing, they're booked overseas doing a bunch of European festivals the whole summer, the Big Four. Every couple of weeks they're doing a different one. If they do a date on the East Coast in September, which they said in a stadium, you can't do stadiums. You're not going to be able to do Chicago in October and stuff like that. It's going to be too cold. So you only really have a short window to do stadiums. And they're not going to put it in an arena. They could sell 20,000 seats. They're not going to do 2-3 shows. They'll do it in a stadium if they're going to do it.
It's real expensive to do stadium. It's real expensive to tour, period, right now. And again, it takes away. There's something, festivals and big kind of special events become destinations. People plan vacations. They plan a weekend around it. It's a part of the experience. It makes it more special. If you're doing it across the country and you're doing 50 dates, it dilutes it a lot because in Indio on Saturday, they had 50, 60,000 people. They probably would add more if it was an Easter weekend. Okay, so people came from all over the place. I was meeting people from outside of the country, people from here that flew cross country like me, people from Boston, Texas, all over the place. When you go to a festival, you run into people that come from all over the country and the world. That's what makes it special. That's why you have so many people there, this mix of people. It becomes a destination. Immediately when you decide, well, we're going to do 50 shows, guess what? It's not that vibe anymore. It's not special. It's not that sort of community feel. So whether you like it or not, that's just the way these big events happen. Metallica wants to go and do 100 cities in America and arenas tomorrow. They could do it, and they don't even need an opener. But these are special events. So I completely understand why they're not touring it. It makes it less unique when they do it. There were people going over to Europe to see this thing before they knew it was coming to America. Now, there's America show. There might be one in New York. And then maybe in 6 months or a year, they'll announce another one. You just don't know. Thank you for the call.